In today's video, I'll be taking you through 7 scientific hacks to lose weight easier than ever without any additional willpower or hours on the elliptical. These hacks are grounded heavily in psychology as well as a bit of biology and hormone science as well. I personally use every single one of these losing the first 100 pounds, and I will continue to do so for the final 30 that I have to go. So I can vouch for them, they totally work. So let's get into the video. Food is a powerful natural stimuli, and seeing, smelling, or even thinking about food is enough to activate a craving or make us feel hungry. A 2006 study placed jars of Hershey's Kisses on the desks of secretaries. Half of the secretaries received a clear jar and the other half an opaque one. The secretaries who could see the chocolates staring them in the face all day ate 71% more than those who couldn't. Research shows that anytime you see food, particularly unhealthy food, the reward centers of your brain light up, you feel hungrier, your heart rate speeds up, and you even begin to drool just a little bit. Essentially, your body is priming you to eat, whether you are actually planning to or not. This is called food cue reactivity. You see the food, you want to eat the food. And this doesn't just apply to food itself, it also applies to anything we've learned to associate with food in the past. Certain images and locations can all trigger food cravings depending on our learned associations with them. Think about how this is working in your own life already. You were planning eating really clean today, but your coworker brought in epic donuts. Or you were watching TV and a Pizza Hut commercial came on and you're like, damn, I haven't had Pizza Hut in a while, and then boom, you've ordered Pizza Hut. Unless we're aware of how food cues influence our decisions, we can end up consuming a lot of calories we had no intention of eating or that we don't even like that much. Hack number 1. Environmental awareness. Be mindful of where available snacks and food are. If you have a snacking problem, it may just be because your environment is continually prompting you to snack. Rearrange your cupboards or drawers. If you're opening a drawer 5 times per day and it has your favorite snack in it, guess what? You're probably gonna have more cravings for that snack than if it was somewhere more out of sight. Keep your unhealthy or more tempting foods out of places that you're always going to be seeing them. This helps you reduce food cravings just by exposing you to those foods less. Pay attention to your cravings. If you always have a nugget craving, it may just be because you're driving past McDonald's every day. Or if you are always eating too many cookies, it might be because your office has a visible cookie jar. Point is, your dieting life is going to be a lot easier if you design your environment to support your goals, which we'll talk about a little bit further in the next point as well. Convenience is a huge driver of our eating habits. Studies show that the easier it is for you to eat something, the more likely you are to do so. Unfortunately, the unhealthiest foods available to us are also by far the most convenient, thanks to 24/7 drive-thrus, Uber Eats, and microwaves. Add on top of this that research also shows that taste and cost are other huge drivers of our eating preferences, and you can see why ultra-convenient foods pose a real threat to your hopes of eating healthy. Healthy, real food typically requires some level of preparation or at least forethought. For example, right now, what are the most convenient foods in your home? If you're like most people, the most convenient foods are things like cereal, chips, frozen foods, or microwave dinners, cookies, or any other number of random processed snacks. It's not that any of these foods are inherently bad, though obviously they can be. It's just that they're a little too convenient. It's simply too easy to grab and eat them in moments of hunger, boredom, or habit, without even thinking about it, especially when the only barrier between you and the food is a cardboard box or a wrapper. Meanwhile, the barriers to preparing a nutritious meal are a little bit longer. And if you haven't planned for this in advance, you're putting yourself in a situation where you absolutely will need to expend willpower at some point to avoid eating something more convenient. But this works both ways. If you are prepared and the most convenient food available to you is something that you want to be eating more of, then in lazy moments, you're likely to make a great choice. You'll notice a pattern in people who are very fit and ultra consistent with their diets. It's not that they have some crazy level of willpower, though a lot of them do, it's that they're always prepared. They know that if they have good, clean food available to them all the time, then they're making it easy on themselves to make good choices. Hack number 2. Make healthy food more convenient than unhealthy food. Don't bring foods home that don't support your goals. If they're not around you, they are less convenient. Prep healthy ingredients or at least plan ahead for the week. You don't have to full on meal prep if you don't like microwaving all your meals, but at least having some forethought, buying the groceries that you need, or cutting things up in advance is a good way to make sure you are ready to go for the week and you lessen the chance that you're going to make a big mistake. Putting some space between you and your typical snack foods is a willpower-free way to get some more control over what you put in your mouth. Research shows that we're so bad at estimating our calories that most of us eat an additional 20 to 30% more than we think we do every single day. On a 2,000 calorie diet, 20 to 30% equates to about 4 to 500 calories a day. That works out to the equivalent of 4 medium bananas, a McChicken burger, a pint of Halo Top plus a bit more, or 2 slices of a medium pizza that we can have no idea that we've even eaten. And an extra 4 to 500 calories a day is the difference between not losing a pound a week if you're on a diet and gaining one if you're not. Hack number 4, weigh and track your food. If you are trying to lose weight, weigh and track your food. If you've never weighed your food before, you will be shocked at how much more you are eating than you thought. Research shows that if we wait too long between meals and let ourselves become ravenous, then the odds are stacked against our hopes of eating healthy that day. Imagine you haven't eaten for 6 hours, you're starving, and someone says, "Hey, we're all going to Burger King." Research shows that if you're a fan of Burger King, you're not only likely to say the diet, but also eat more calories when you get there and feel less than satisfied afterwards. This is thought to be caused by the hunger hormone ghrelin. When we haven't eaten in a while, our body secretes ghrelin to increase our appetites and motivate us to eat. Ghrelin levels are lowest just after we've eaten and are satiated, and then they continue to rise from there until we have our next meal. Research has shown that as ghrelin levels rise, we become irritable, food focused, and increasingly attracted to high-calorie foods. And at the same time, our rational thinking and impulse control are impaired. We also become hyper aware of food in our environment, reacting strongly to foods we see and smell. Even our taste receptors are affected by ghrelin. Food literally tastes better the more ghrelin you have circulating through your body. Once we've eaten, ghrelin levels take a huge dive, usually returning to baseline. However, if you wait too long between meals, your ghrelin levels will have risen too high to return to baseline, leaving you feeling unsatisfied with your normal portion and urging you to overeat. Hack number 4, eat every 4 to 5 hours. Ghrelin peaks for most people 4 to 5 hours post-meal. So plan to have scheduled meals every 4 hours or so. And if there are specific times every day that you happen to be chronically hungry, work your meals into them. The more TV people watch, the fatter they are. As TV viewing goes up, weight goes up along with it. A 2003 study showed that for every additional 2 hours spent watching TV, people had a 23% higher chance of becoming obese. According to the research, eating a meal while watching TV not only increases calories consumed during that meal by roughly 10%, but also by an additional 25% during subsequent meals. And it's not just TV. I put the blame on TV here because I have a particular vendetta against it. And it's associated with a ton of other negative health effects, but it seems that eating while being distracted by anything at all is bad for us. Researchers fed 2 groups of participants a 400-calorie lunch. Group A was told to simply focus on their food, while Group B was given a video game to play while they were eating. Later that day, both groups were offered cookies, and Group B, the video game players, ended up consuming 69% more cookies than Group A did. Hunger and satiety are complex processes, and they involve a lot more than just that physical feeling of fullness you get from having food in your stomach. While you're eating, your brain actually partly relies on your focus and memory to recall how much you've just eaten and predict how much you should eat later on. If you're not paying attention to what you're eating, you're not fully experiencing your meal, and it's easy to miss cues that say you're full while priming yourself to want to snack later on. Hack number 5, no distractions. Sitting down and quietly enjoying your food with nothing else going on is a scientifically proven way to feel more satisfied with what you've eaten and feel less snacky later on. Ever noticed how after eating an insane amount of sushi, most of us have that little second stomach for dessert? We've all had that experience of feeling totally full and satisfied, but then making room for something just a few seconds later. Say you're eating something simple like a baked potato. While you're eating it, your hedonic rating, or how much you like it, is steadily decreasing. That first bite is the best, and every subsequent bite is a little bit less pleasurable until you ultimately feel satisfied and no longer feel the urge to continue eating. while at the same time your interest and rating in other foods doesn't decline at all. It stays the same. So even though you may truly feel full and totally satisfied with the baked potato, if you were to introduce another food, particularly one that was quite different from the first food, say something sweet, then you would genuinely feel hungry and interested in eating all over again. Even when totally stuffed, the hunger hormone we talked about earlier, ghrelin, actually blocks out feelings of fullness from the brain when presented with a novel food. This effect is amplified when it's something very different from what you've just had. For example, sweet dessert after savory sushi. Therefore, if you're eating a wide variety of foods at once, it's going to take you a lot longer to feel full and satisfied than if you had kept your plate a little bit more simple. Hack number 6, limit variety. Keeping meals simple and limited to 2 or 3 foods is a super easy way to feel more satisfied with whatever you're eating. In order to help me build some muscle, I switched to a high protein diet about a year ago, and I noticed some unexpected benefits. All of a sudden, I felt a lot less hungry through the day. I felt a lot less snacky, and I was just kind of thinking about food less in general. I found that I wasn't really fighting the urge to snack as much when I was eating more protein. And there is a ton of clinical research matching my experience. In one study, overweight women took in 441 fewer calories totally unintentionally, just by switching their diets from 15 to 30% protein. Protein is by far the most satiating macro per calorie, meaning a calorie of protein has the ability to make you feel more full than a calorie of fat or carbohydrates do. Protein has also been shown to reduce circulating levels of ghrelin while also boosting peptide YY, which is a hormone that helps us to feel full. Also, one of the most important reasons to eat protein on a weight loss plan is because while we're losing weight, we want to make sure we're mostly just losing fat, not healthy, lean tissue. And if you're lifting weights or going to the gym, eating enough protein will ensure that you're able to actually build muscle while in a caloric deficit. And if you're not lifting weights, getting enough protein is going to make sure that you're losing mostly fat so that you don't end up skinny fat when you're finished your weight loss journey. And that's not all. A diet high in protein provides a moderate metabolic boost and is positively correlated with weight maintenance after weight loss. Hack number 7, protein. Include protein at every meal and ensure it works out to about 30% of your total energy intake per day. Most people begin a weight loss plan hoping that, this time they're going to be strong enough to muscle through it with brute willpower alone. But we don't really need to do that, and it's not even actually effective at changing our behavior, especially long term. I personally tried to do that a million times before I was like, okay, this is just not working for me. But what does work is making little changes to our habits and our environments that add up to big, sustainable results, and not relying on our ability to stare down our cravings with willpower. Thank you so much for watching. If you are looking for more science-backed weight loss tips, hit the subscribe button and we will lose this weight together.